pieces. Hey, beautiful ones. Amplifying my intuition, learning how to trust myself, and also aligning with my true north, like my soul, my spirit, changed my freaking life. Obviously, our life is going to change no matter what, right? As we move through, but it changed the way I experience life. There's so much less resistance and so much more peace, so much more fun, so much more joy that I am on this massive soul mission, or part of my soul mission is to share these keys and codes with everybody. So if you're watching, you're going to receive, if you're open to it, an activation. I am calling in another level of self trust for you because I think this is the key. Your capacity to trust yourself is going to amplify your intuition and your ability to hear it, to trust it, is going to help you realign with your soul energy. So I'm going to be pulling some cards mostly for the collective, but I always set the intention that if you're watching, if you're listening, you're going to hear exactly what you need, even if it's on the replay, because I do have this ability to work through the 0 point, which means like across time and space, and pull in your energy. So we're working with all of it. And if you're up for it, if you're open to it, this activation of another level of self trust, so you can feel this or work towards this unshakable faith that if you follow your intuition, it's going to work out. Even if it doesn't seem like it, even if you're being challenged, even if things are going awry, there is this level of faith that I can tell you about because I get to live it all the time, where you know that even if things are going not as you planned, it's actually working out even better than you could ever possibly imagine. Because sometimes things need to go sideways to set us on a new trajectory. Sometimes we need to make mistakes, and that's actually going to give us the codes and the keys that we need to do the thing that we're here to do. And this unshakable faith that it is all working out for you, for your highest and best good, allows you to feel safer in your body. And that safety creates this openness that allows spirit and your intuition to be heard, to be felt without as much distortion. And then you can actually hear it at a deeper level. You can listen to what spirit, soul, source, your heart, your body is telling you. And from that place, you can take aligned actions. You're going to trust yourself, to trust your intuition in a deeper way. And then the cool part that I've experienced is when you start trusting your intuition more, because you've created this openness to really hear it and feel it. You've created the safety in your body through the self trust, and you do the things, it puts this evidence into your brain that you indeed can trust and that things are indeed working out, even if you can't tell at the time. And then you're able to walk with even more faith, even more self trust, and then you get more evidence. And if you slide, if you don't trust your intuition, you will get this feedback and you'll be like, eh, oh, I should have listened, which also gives you more faith, more self trust, more confidence in your intuition. So even the times that you don't, create this evidence if you choose to look through this lens. The times that you don't listen to your intuition, you can use as evidence for why you should. And this requires this compassion and this safety that you create for yourself. So if you don't listen, you can't beat yourself up and be like, gosh, I should have listened to my intuition. Beating yourself up, being the worst to yourself, is going to create less safety in your body, which actually takes away your capacity to listen to your intuition because you don't feel safe to be open and connected. So that's going to be the downward spiral. Whereas when you create the safety for you to be open to the nudges, to actually listen and then take aligned action, then you receive this upward spiral energy that really connects you more deeply. And even the mistakes, even the missteps are bringing you back home to yourself, or giving you the evidence that indeed you should listen to that intuition. But it all starts with softening, and actually being able to open up to the whispers of your intuition at first. And that's not easy when we live in this world that is super full of traumatic pieces of life that are coming at you. And also, it is fair that we have to do this healing work to like really open and soften and be able to listen when everything is telling us that we have to keep our shields up. But it is the one thing that is going to make the biggest difference in your life, in being able to move forward with clarity and confidence and ease and faith and trust and all of these pieces. So, I want to pull forward for you some stories today about like how that's worked for me and how much it shifted my life. But I do want to also pull some cards for you. So what the intention is it's going to be for you. And let me know in the comments here how your energy is doing. I want to get a little bit of a feel for where we're at. But I know personally for me, it's feelings of forward momentum and excitement, but there's also a lot of massive transition energy that is closing down trajectories for people. And also, like, there's a lot of illness and death and all kinds of things. So, people are going to be having these different experiences. Some people are going to feel like super aligned and really divine, and other people are going to be in the chaos energy. And by the way, if you want to hear more about those two different streams that you might even be bouncing back and forth between, September's energy update was pretty intense about those two things because those are the main trajectories that came forward. But oh, I'm using the Elemental Forces of Creation deck. And this is the deck that was originally designed by Lisa Michaels that I have been given the responsibility to carry into the world. So I've redesigned it with Nicole. It's a 90 card deck that I use for a lot of my teaching inside Creation Coach and a lot of the work. We have this deck available, by the way, if you want it, because it's the most perfect deck that I've ever worked with. I've worked with it for over a decade. This is the newly redesigned one. The active and receptive energy is what you need to hear about the most. And this actually goes with what I was saying about being open. Because in order to receive your intuition and actually align with your soul mission and what you're here to do, and that next level, because we're being called to the next level right now, we have to be open enough to receive. We have to have our energy shields open. And if you are closed, if you don't feel safe, if you're not available, then all of the intuitive hits that are coming through are going to bounce off. And either you're going to like not trust it if it does happen to get through the shield because you don't feel safe, you throw your shields up, right? If it does get through, you're going to be questioning it through that lens of, I'm not safe. So is this true? Can I trust it? You're going to be spinning in that energy. And if you've got a shield, anything that's making the intuition come through in a way where it has to like force its way through, it might be distorted. And you'll be like, I don't know. So how can you trust it? I want to say don't. Don't trust anything that comes through intuitively if you feel yourself in that state of shields up. I don't feel safe. I'm activated. My nervous system is feeling like I'm fighty, or maybe I need to run away. Maybe I need to freeze and shut down. If your nervous system is in that state, you shouldn't trust your intuition. It's because you can't discern whether it's the ego and all of those instincts that are just trying to keep you safe and alive, or if it's actually coming from spirit. So, in order to receive anything, intuition, abundance, downloads, we need spaciousness. We need to be in the stillness. And that's so often why there's this trope that's truth, where people have a breakdown and then they have a breakthrough. Let me know if you have been through this process, the breakdown to breakthrough. Why that happens is the breakdown actually bring like people are spinning, spinning, oh my God. And then they finally like collapse. And it's in the collapse that there is this surrender because they just give up. And then suddenly without the resistance to what is, because the resistance is the fighting against it, there's this space. And that's why you have the eat, love, pray moments where people are lying on the bathroom floor and they've been crying and they've been fighting. And then finally they're like, I give up, I give up, I give up. Boom. They drop the surrender, they drop the shields. or they drop into surrender. They drop the shields. And there's this space. And in the space, you can hear the whispers, spirit, God, source, soul, intuition, the universe, creator, creation, your heart, whatever you are connected to. In that space, you can receive the messages and you can hear them because at first it's usually quiet. So we need to be receptive enough and still enough to feel that come through. And let me know if you've been through that energy before. Oh, good. Catherine's saying smooth sailing here and the waves and the rest, waves, rest and activity. Yes, that's huge. Hello, lovelies. So we're talking about your intuition needing to have this receptivity. If you don't have that, then it's going to bounce right off of you. Right. And I want you to just really start to pay attention, be discerning with your energy field, be discerning with your nervous system, get to know it. And I'm sorry, some of us have a hard time with that because we've been walking around in this activated state with our shields up because we don't feel safe for our entire lives. And then you go, I'm not very intuitive. I'm not very creative. I don't know. Of course you don't. Your shields are up. And so, again, it's not fair that you have to do this, but it is how the earth game works. We need to do the healing work that we need to be able to open up and be in the stillness. And after you receive, and by the way, this works for receiving abundance and connections and all that stuff too. So this can apply across the board, but we're talking specifically about intuition today. Your intuition will lead you to more abundance though, by the way. So that's really fun. It's reciprocal. They work together. It's all connected. But the active part when it comes to your intuition is that you, after you receive it, you got to act on it or you're not going to get more and you're not going to develop the self-trust. If you receive that intuition and you're like, I know I need to break up with that person. I know I need to change jobs. I know I need to drink more water, like whatever it is. And then you don't do it, you're not proving to yourself that you are trustworthy. And then you start to shut down more and you're not getting the upward spiral momentum of trusting self. Though, with the right lensing, as I spoke about, if you use it as an opportunity to go, when you see you should have, I should have listened. And next time you listen, amazing. So there is an active and a receptive part to intuition. If you listen, if you get a download, if you hear your heart whispering to you something and you go, okay, all right, and then you move on it and you act in faith, even if it doesn't make sense, your intuition is going to feel like it gets amplified because it will have this energy of like, oh, she listened to me. She listened, or he listened, they listened, whoever you are. I'm really speaking to myself. The more I trusted my intuition, the more I had the evidence that my intuition could be trusted and that I could be trusted and I could be trusted to listen to my intuition. And let me tell you, I've had so many levels and layers of this because I've been like actively consciously working on opening up my psychic senses and my intuition for at least 15 years, even more than that, but like consciously, actively hard work at it for 15 years. And at first, when I stepped into the one-on-one coaching, which was only about 3 years ago that I stepped into that full time, maybe 4 years when I started doing it part time, I started receiving a lot of psychic messages for people very specifically, where before it was like messages for myself. And the next level for me was to receive them for others and trust myself enough to say things even when they didn't make sense. And that takes creating the safety for yourself so that you're not going to beat yourself up if you're wrong or if they don't get it, because a lot of things can be like you have to learn how to translate things into messages that make sense and, not project your stuff all over people. But I've had to sit in sessions and go, I I don't know what the slug is about. To you, like what the slug is important. And the person's like, oh my gosh, yes, the slug with my grandma. Oh man. And it like they go off and it meant something to them, even though it had no meaning to me. So I received that intuition and then I had to act on it and speak into it, even though I was like, and then I got the evidence that it was working and I got to trust myself more. So, like, wherever you're at, whether you're working on your intuition for yourself or you're a coach, a healer, a teacher, a practitioner, and you're using those intuitive spiritual gifts for others, there's this leap of faith that you get to take where you start to share these messages with other people. And like that's in my pure stream of psychicness. For years, I've been able to read cards and do things for people where I would get a download for them and then I'd be able to share it with them. And when I was working with this Oracle deck in particular, because it was concept from nature's elemental manifestation template, the unified field, it always resonated. So this working with this deck, when I became initiated with the elemental forces of creation about 15 years ago, it also gave me the confidence because everything was always relevant and the messages were always so perfect. Now I can do stuff without them. I could give you a channeled reading and I work intuitively with people and I can pull through all kinds of things. I bring people into spaces where we're working energetically and I'll say something and they're like, "Oh my God, that's exactly what was happening." And I have all of this evidence without the cards. But as I was building this capacity, working with the elements and being able to pull a card and look at it and get the download of what this meant for myself or for the world or for this person in particular, and letting it be the bounce off piece where I was responding to this and like allowing this card and what I know of it, but also my direct channel for it to be sharing information that gave me the confidence. So what I'm saying is we get to work our way up. We don't have to start by giving psychic readings to people, right? That won't feel safe unless you've been practicing. And so this divine masculine concept and this card right here that I pulled out of the middle of my deck is really here to highlight the need for structure and something to hold the form and take the actions in a way that is kind of it's feeling very linear and scaffolded, and there might be expansions and you might just level up in this quantum leap, but we have to create like the structures and the forms around us to feel held and to feel safe in receiving and also sharing, which is taking those aligned actions. The masculine energy can hold that structure and form for the flow. And what changed my experience with trusting my intuition and how I teach people inside of my um, card reading course. By the way, you can take the course to learn how to read these cards and amplify your intuition and maybe even make some money doing it. Um, but also my creation coach, which is the people that I facilitate, I teach them the most life-changing gift that I, again, was initiated into about 15 years ago, that I've been using every day of my life since then. And that's to fall in sacred space and actively create this structured field where I have invited in the divine connections. I have invited in my luminous team and whoever I'm wanting to work with, whether it's the elements, whether it's Gaia, whether it's source, highest self, whoever wants to present, whoever I want to work with. And I've opened myself up to receiving support from them, and that alignment lets me feel so connected, and the intuitive flow and the trust and the amplification of everything in sacred space is out of this world. So when I teach people how to use these structures, they'll go, "Oh, wow, wow, I get it." It just drops in. It's so much easier than I expected. The people that I train to read cards in this sacred way, instead of like just sitting and not doing any prep work and just like trying to start, they can't always tell if it's from their ego or from their soul, if from source. They don't know because they haven't actually put that structure, that field around them that allows them to open, feel safe, and not even have to do it all themselves. So I'm asking you, do you have enough structured support in your intuitive development to support you in developing that soul purpose, in aligning? Yeah, love that. A growing relationship with self so we can keep growing and revolving. Exactly. Following the soul nudges, building trust with self. Yes, Rebecca, exactly. And the trust is easier to build when you feel supported. If you feel lost and adrift and you don't have that masculine energy of structure and support around you, if you don't feel held, and this is energetics, not like, people with penises, that's not what I'm talking about, but the energetic structure for the divine feminine flow of your beingness and Everybody has this regardless of their sex, gender, and genitalia. We get to work with both of these energetics. The structure to hold the flow allows the flow to feel safer, for it to flow more easily. And it really, if you're familiar with the energy of a torus field, it's very much that. The torus field is your energetic um, donut hole, basically, or the hole is the like hole of the donut, and then there's like the sides, and it's a circle, and the intuition can flow through you, and that field around you, that electromagnetic field of energy, can support you. It's more than that, because you can bring in the team, you can bring in practices, rituals, ceremonies, all of that kind of structure to help you. And if you don't have any of that and you're like, how? I can teach you how. That's in the card reader course that I have, is like the easiest way to tap into it, or my like language courses or my facilitation courses. I teach everybody this because it is a freaking game changer to have that support, to have that structure, and to feel like you're not alone in your beingness allows you to relax, and you're like, ah, I'm held, I'm connected. Because there's this frequency of separation and scarcity and lack and feeling alone that's really heavy. It's hard down there in that frequency bandwidth. Then there's the frequency of abundance. And that frequency is divinely connected, full of possibilities. It's intuitive, it's full of all of the magic. And that frequency bandwidth is something you can tune into, but only if it feels safe to do so. You are this radio transmitter and receiver. And your intuition is very much about that receiving energy. The tuning portion is about how you feel physically, emotionally, energetically, mentally, spiritually. Do you feel open and expansive and aligned and safe and connected? Then you're in the bandwidth of being able to pull through anything that you need, and you're in that faith and that trust, and it feels good. And when you're in that bandwidth of scarcity, separation, heaviness, density, fear, sorrow, all of those things, that heaviness blocks the energetic frequencies from really being able to land and come in. So our job is, I think, as humans, to learn how to consciously tune in. And what you have availability in terms of your bandwidth is going to be dependent upon your nervous system, because that's how light and information from the divine flows through you. So take a deep breath in and just notice how you're feeling. Are you feeling restricted? Are you feeling like you are heavy and like there's this difficulty, density? It just feels like hard. Maybe feeling alone, lost, icky. Or are you feeling that expansive energy of being tuned in, tapped in to spirit, to the divine, to the all, to other people? All possibilities lie. Or maybe you're somewhere in between, because there is a gap that we have to navigate between these two places that takes a leap of faith to lower the shields and to feel safe enough to actually go there. And this is part of the journey into deeper, unshakable faith, self trust, soul alignment, intuition, all of these pieces. Loving the combo. Thank you. The convo, not combo. Oh my gosh, I need some water because I am doing a lot of talking. And hydration, by the way, actually helps energy flow through you. Even structuring your water and giving it that support through your intention or through different practices, different technologies, can help you hydrate more. So structure is required to really support the flow of everything. Oh my gosh, look at my hanger pieces. Because it's like one of those where you can pull it off. So I have the hanger pieces, otherwise it falls off. Otherwise I cut them off. That's okay. Let's tune in to the perfect card. Oh my gosh. If you don't have this deck, like, what are you doing? Open another tab and order it. It's always so freaking perfect that I love it. We're talking about intuition. There's 90 cards. There's 90 cards. I just pulled this out of the middle of the deck. And it's not only a water card, when I'm just talking about water and how it helps your intuition flow, but the feeling guidance. Like, this card deck is so This is like the last card deck you're ever gonna need. You never have to have another card deck if you have this deck. So yeah, you gotta feel the guidance. You gotta feel the guidance. Do you guys find this as funny as I do? Yeah, Rebecca, the link for the deck, it should be in the notes. And if it's like just above, if you don't have it, you can type in elementalmanifestation.com and it'll bring you there. And there's you. This is funny to you guys too, or is it just because I work with this deck? Like, this is the thing about spirit. It's freaking hilarious. When you are open to like, they're gonna be like, by the way, life is actually much less serious and more fun and funnier than most people are experiencing right now. So seeing the coincidences, the synchronicities, the sync winks from the universe makes me so joyful. So yeah, I mean, for your intuition, your soul alignment, your soul purpose, your self-trust, you got to be able to feel the guidance. So let's talk about it. What does that even mean? What does that even mean to feel guidance? I think it's a very somatic thing for myself personally, and let me know if this is different. As a very clear, cognizant person who just gets downloads from spirit, to me, like that's one way I get information, but that's not feeling guidance. I can feel guided from that, but feeling my guidance is not a mental game. It's not a download that drops in. It's more of that clairsentience. It is the ability to literally feel it in your body, which, by the way, your body is the most discerning like barometer for whether things are coming from spirit and source or not, because there is a, once you get clear enough, a very different feeling, and it's energetic but it's also physical. So spirit, source, the divine, the higher guidance, or the heart, the body, when it's not feeling unsafe, when you're feeling open and relaxed, will have messages that give us the feeling of like flow, of alignment. It can feel soft, it can feel tingly. I think people feel it in different places and spaces. It can feel different for different people, but I know for me, what helps me understand my intuition is understanding how it feels in my body. And when I was really starting to work with this consciously, I got a practice from this beautiful woman named Hannah Laura Thiel, who I've studied with a few times, including out at her like Crystal Palace in Vancouver, which was amazing. It's a feeling in the body, and it's like, does this piece of information make you feel open and expansive, or does it feel heavy and dense and closed off? Because typically, if it's for you, from the intuition and not from that ego or fear or the subconscious programming that is just designed to keep you safe, it's going to feel open and light. And there's the few pieces we need to talk about this versus heavy. And it's sometimes important to discern, though, like, and this is a very nuanced, complicated conversation, because sometimes you can get an intuition and you're like, oh, this feels like it's from spirit. Then it's so big and scary, or it goes against what you've been taught or what feels safe for you. Then it can activate your nervous system. And they're like, can't do that. So there's a lot of discernment and a lot of practice that goes into feeling guidance and navigating all of the little pieces that can go in there. But feeling it in your body is such an important practice. And if you can't feel it in your body, that is where you got to start, because it means you're disassociated from your body and you don't have the interoception, which is the understanding of the feeling in your body, to be able to really have discernment with how things are making you feel. And I understand that everybody has a different natural level of this, but a lot of times our lack of interoception, which is that awareness of what's happening inside of you, is because we've disassociated, because it's not safe in our body, because our body doesn't feel safe from trauma, from all of these things. And that's why the healing journey is an essential part of learning how to trust yourself and trust your intuition. Because if you can't be in your body, how the heck are you going to be able to trust your body's messages and the signals that are happening? And I see this a lot in people that feel like they've got their like lower dimensional lenses kind of shut off and blocked off, and they can be very like intuitively connected, but in this very head oriented way, because it's just, the third eye and the crown and stuff that are wide open, but the body has not got the energy flowing through, grounding into the earth. So it's never practical, it's never tangible, and it's never fully formed. And those people can feel very mystical, but so impractical that they can't get stuff done, or there again is some distortions because it's guidance isn't flowing through them fully. And I'm not even just talking guidance, but divine energy is not flowing through them properly and fully. So when we talk, especially in the card reader program and creation coach, about learning how to amplify intuition and work with energy and everything like that, clearing energy before you try to direct it, and direct it includes speaking and giving people readings and all of that stuff, you need to be a clear channel for it. And water gives us a really good example of that, because you know how we're watery beings, we got a lot of water in us, and water is also the emotional realm. So I need to put this down. So I've been holding too many cards. So water inside of us is already there. But there's also the watery realm that needs to flow through us, because emotions and feelings don't just come from us, but they come from like the collective. And we need to be a clear and clean current or channel for that water, that energy to flow through. And if we're not, if we have too much density and there's all this blocked energy, then it can't flow through. And it's very much like the intuition needing to flow through you. It's going to maybe get in there, but then it can't actually make it all the way through to the earth, which is what needs to happen. And I want you to imagine the difference between a crystal clear flowing river, maybe it's glacial, maybe it's like that pure water, versus a stagnant swamp. And I want you to think about that lack of flow in the stagnant swamp. It's stinky, there's decay, things are dying. It can also be a nutrient rich place of life, right? It's great. But do you want to be a swamp? Or do you want to be a waterfall, some flowing water, crystal clear? I know which one I want, because one feels heavy and dense and stagnant, and disconnected from life force flowing through, from intuition flowing through, from abundance flowing through. And the other one feels freaking divine. So being a water being, as we all have all of the elements. We need that energetic flow. And if you can't feel your guidance, chances are there's stagnant beliefs, traumas, experiences that are stored in your tissues, or your energetic body, or your akashic body, or your causal body. Like it might be from anywhere. It needs to flow. If you're too sticky, you're not going to be in that open receptivity either, because you're full. You're full of other stuff. And the clear, clean channel allows that higher dimensional information to flow through us. And I just want you to take a moment and feel into how full your body feels right now. Feel into it and go, do I need to release something? And if you're saying, no, I'm perfectly clear and there's absolutely no blocks to my energy field, you're probably lying, or like I bow down to you because you've already done all of the work and you're complete. But it won't last, because we're still humans and there's still stuff that's going to stick. But maybe you just had an amazing meditation, dance, orgasm, journaling session and you're like super clear. Amazing. Good for you. I'm glad you had a great morning. But we almost always, or at least for now, have stuff that needs to be let go of constantly, because we're constantly getting input. So it is a moment to moment practice of noticing, is the energy flowing through you clearly? Or is the energy getting stuck? Are emotions flowing through you clearly, or are they getting stuck? And by the way, if you're getting stuck in a feeling for more than about 90 seconds, it's stuck. There's a block. The true emotion, energy and motion goes through you. And if you fully let yourself feel it, it's gonna start to like it'll intensify, but then it'll go down. in about 90 seconds, there'll be a discharge of that energy as it flows through you. And if it's hanging on longer than that, it is your thoughts, it is your beliefs, it is you being continuing to think it rather than just letting it flow through you. There's nothing wrong with that, but you should know that, right? Because sometimes we can get really afraid that we're going to get stuck in a feeling, so we don't want to feel it. And then it just gets more and more swampy. And I have been there. So this is another lesson, like the entire water realm, like elemental teachings, they changed my life because I was someone who didn't understand how to work with water, feelings. I was very mental. And in fact, I wanted to be a freaking Vulcan because I was like, feelings are gross and icky, and I don't want to have them. So live long and prosper, and let's just use logic. And I was very intuitive, but it was purely from that mental claircognizant thing. And I rarely let my body be my guide because I didn't feel safe in my body. So I couldn't fully relax and open and receive it. And I was cutting off love. I was cutting off abundance. I was cutting off connection. And so when I say that working on all of this stuff, changed my life. I am saying it changed it in every way, in all ways, and for all ways, because learning how to work with my intuition and also this elemental template, which were very closely interrelated for me, it really changed everything because I started to understand how it was all interconnected. It's not just one thing, it's everything. And so there's not just one tip I can give you about your intuition. I give you one tip, but it's not like the tip. You know what I mean? That's why I have whole courses like the card reader course that's going to help you work through really becoming this clearer channel for energy and information flow through. Trust yourself enough to act on it, to then get the self-confidence and the clarity which that gives you that upward spiral to bring through even more information. And then as you do that, your alignment with your soul purpose is basically inevitable. It's inevitable. The more intuitive you are, the more you allow that channel of information to flow through you, the more easily and effortlessly you're going to get, even if it's a drip and not the whole thing, you're going to be like, oh, this is for me. This is aligned with what I'm here to do and who I'm here to be. And then you do that thing, and then you're going to get a little more. And part of your soul purpose is literally just to do that, right? It's to be you, not all of this other stuff that's not you. That's such a big part of my soul purpose is to help people like reunify their divine human template. And the divine human template is all of the elements, your physical body, your emotional body, your heart, your mind, your soul energy, and all of your actions to be in coherence. And in order to do that, it needs that flow through you. So you're aligned with source, highest self, your mind, your heart, your body, your spirit, your words, your actions, your deeds. They're all in coherence and alignment. And if that does not amplify your intuition to like the next freaking level, nothing will. Clearing out everything that's not us so we can be a channel for our spirit, our soul, our energy to be illuminated and come through with clarity. I mean, like that, it's so good, guys. I can't even explain to you how good it feels to trust what's coming through and to develop the discernment to know if I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. It goes, it's not me. I don't have to doubt my intuitive abilities. I go, what is in the way? What am I holding? Is it a belief system? Is it something in my body? Is it my nervous system? And then I can clear that out. And then I can have that clear channel again. And then I go, oh, here it is. And we also need to have enough space, which is why that clearing and purification part is so important. And you have to clear on all levels and layers, the physical body, the mental realm, the emotional realm. All of these pieces need to feel clear and clean. You can use water, you can use all kinds of different practices to clear it out. I have a billion tools that I share inside all of my programs. You can use sound, you can use shaking, you can use breath, right? All of the physical embodiment tools for clearing and all of the energy work that I do, the alchemy. It's about clearing it out so you have that channel. Because if you don't have enough space and clarity, the big things just, or even the little things won't ever to land. So I'll pull another card for us. Oh, this is so perfect again. Oh my God. I was going to tell a story about the timing of these things and how it takes time. Like the stories all lined up, locked and loaded for the teaching on the intuition and the space. And the card I just pulled from the middle of, like, I cut the middle of half of the deck and it's organic timing. I am telling you, this card deck is so freaking magical. Like, walk, don't run if you don't have it already. If you haven't it. Um, Allison's getting nudges to get the deck. Oh my gosh. It'll really amplify the elemental work and the life creation 101 work that people are doing inside my membership, the creator codes, and all of the things, like understanding everything. So I was wanting to talk about space and how the purification process can take some time and how we need enough space in our energy field for our intuition to flow. And the most recent example I have of this that was a really big thing for me was in the spring. I was guided by my intuition, by spirit, by source, my highest self, whatever it was, by my heart, my knowing, to let as much in my life go as possible and make as much space as I possibly could. And that meant like not launching programs. I didn't launch another round of creation coach. I didn't launch another round of my mastermind. I had these programs locked and loaded and ready to go. And I had to take a freaking leap of faith and actually like go into debt to do this because I wasn't making the like 10K months and 20K months that I had been making because I launched nothing new for like months. Because spirit said, don't, like very firmly, don't do it. And at this point in my life, I have learned I got to practice what I preach. So I was like, okay, because I've been guided and got all of the evidence that I know I'm going to be guided in the right direction. And I can tell you more about that in a bit. But I let everything go. And then I even needed to do a cleanse that an ascended master came to me and was like, do this cleanse. And the first day I did the cleanse and I was in a sacred space, which is what I was talking about earlier, creating the structure. And I had all this space because I didn't have many clients. I didn't have many programs. I just was in my beingness. Suddenly, my next part of my soul purpose just freaking landed. It was like, boom, it dropped in. Funny because I was working with the element of fire. I was working with fire for illumination and transformation inside one of the cohorts of my creation coach group that was still going. And I knew what I had to do next. And I have an energy alchemy modality. It's not just energy healing, it's energy work, activations, like embodiment practices, working with energy that I have developed that has come through me that I thought I was going to teach like 20 years from now. And I thought I was going to have to teach it one-on-one because I couldn't conceive of a way to do it in a group because I didn't know how to give everybody everything that they would need to prepare them for that. I was like, well, it's going to be one-on-one. It's going to be apprenticeship. It's going to be a long time from now. And suddenly with all of that space, I had this fully formed download land. And I was like, oh, I know exactly how. Holy smokes. So that's on the way. Because it's taking some organic timing to prep everything. But suddenly I had everything I needed. And it couldn't have landed without all of the trust of the intuition that I needed to do to take the aligned actions, active and receptive pieces, right? To let things go, to make the space. I had to trust and be in more faith than I've ever been in my life to like have my income drop down from, like 20K a month to freaking, like $2,000 or $3,000 a month, which is not even paying my expenses. I'll be really, really honest because I didn't launch anything because spirit said, don't. I had to walk in so much faith and to be able to have my nervous system regulated enough while I was doing that. And when I was in the regulated state, spirit was like, it's okay. Eat, like, you're good. This is what needs to happen. And I trusted that. And then boom, this next level of the biggest piece of my soul mission that brings everything together that I get to share with the world, like my own modality that I'm going to bring out and teach people that is freaking life changing because not only does it restore the divine human template and work on all levels and layers and work with each of the elemental realms for creation, but it like taps people back into their divinity and the divine love that they can actually feel it and be it and emanate it and then act from that place. And they can go off and do their stuff in the world from the most beautiful aligned place of faith, trust, self-confidence, flow, like all of that. And so I get to teach people not only Like I don't just get to work with people one-on-one. I do this in my one-on-one. It's amazing. It's magical. But I get to train other healers, facilitators, teachers how to do that. So that's coming up next for me. I'm not dropping it right away because there's this organic timing piece because the energetic seed was planted. And I have to trust that it's growing in time, and I have to set up the structures. I have to take aligned action after aligned action after aligned action to do it properly. And so this organic timing piece is also needing to tell you about your intuition, your healing journey, your process, your development of your self trust and your confidence and your alignment in your soul purpose. It's arriving in its own time, in divine time and organic time, not on your schedule. I'm sorry. It's not. It's not going to align on your schedule. You're not going to get it when you want it. I'm sorry. That's just not how it works. And if I could wipe the word manifestation off the face of the planet, sometimes I want to because it makes people think sometimes that they can control the timing. I mean, I'm saying this when you can get the cards at elementalmanifestation.com. Elementalmanifestation.com. I use the word because it's important, but I think that there's all of these distortions in manifestation that make people think that it's not working. So I like to just talk about creation. And there can be triggers for people because it sounds religious. No, you're a creator being. Earth is a creative playground. You are a creator. Everything that you do is creative, even if you don't think it is. So I like to talk about creating space, creating confidence, creating time, creating projects, abundance, creating it because it gives you your power back. But creation happens on earth in organic time. So if you want to know your soul purpose and you're like, why? Why? I just want to know. I've been working on it for so long. And you haven't tilled the soil and purified everything and gotten rid of all that stuff that's not you, it's not going to have space to drop in. If you haven't learned how to open and receive and be in that state of flow and start to trust yourself with the intuitive hits that you get by taking action on the small things, you're not going to get your damn soul purpose. Because if spirit gave it to you, probably wouldn't act on it. You're not ready yet. You, in the organic timing, you still have all of this creative control, not about when, but about prepping the soil, about getting the nutrients right, about making sure that the resources that are required for something to show up are going to be there. You get to do your part. But then there's that element of surrendering the control. In the surrender, you need that faith, that relaxation. And in that surrender, in that faith, in that relaxation, in that openness, in that receptivity, there's enough space for that thing to land. So if you have been rushing, if you have been like wheeling against it, if you've been trying to push things through, actions, businesses, relationships, whatever, if things aren't ready, they're not ready. If you plant a flower, would you expect it to bloom tomorrow if you planted it today? No, you're not going to expect the tree to give fruit. Things take time in this realm, including working on your intuition, including working on your confidence, including aligning to your soul purpose. So, my favorite thing ever is teaching both these organic timings. That's why I love this card deck and all of the teachings that come with the elements, because it includes working with the wheel of the year, with the rhythms and the cycles and the seasons, as well as each element, because I think a lot of us come from a place where we remember being able to like it and then it was manifested and we're like, why doesn't that work here? And then we get all frustrated and then we get mad and then that brings us out of the flow and we get down here into the angry place and it closes us up energetically because we're frustrated and mad. And then we don't have access to all of those higher level pieces for our intuition, coupled with our logic and our reason and our creativity. Like there is this piece around learning how to work with all of it and give yourself all of the resources you need and working with every part of you, the emotional part, the mental realm with your focus, your intention, your capacity to believe that it's possible, working with the energetics, working with the physical body and the nervous system. Like it's all of it. It's not one thing, it's everything. And there is divine timing, there is organic timing. But if you keep learning and growing and clearing what's not you, and you keep focusing on these pieces that we talked about today: the nervous system, the openness, the listening, and then the action. And you start the upward spiral. I promise you, it's going to bring you to a frequency, a field, a bandwidth, a life that is beyond what you can possibly even dream of from that place of separation and fear and what that heavy, dense place. There is this element of spirit that is just like already there, waiting for us to actually be able to tap in. And when you can connect with that and co-create with that, it changes the game. And in fact, that's also one of my secrets to the intuition piece, to the ability to come on here and give a reading, give a live, and like or do it in a session with people. I can speak, but I've asked and I've prayed for well, many lifetimes, but also many years, to be a clear channel, to be able to speak for spirit, as spirit, to be that flow of energy. So I'm not even thinking about what I'm saying. Like, I promise you, there's not a thought in this head. Maybe a couple like, oh, I should tell this story as I'm thinking, but like that's it. I'm barely pre-planning what I'm saying. Like, barely at all. It is coming through me. It's flowing through me. There's no overthinking. There just is, and it's allowing its flow. So I'm going to pull one more card for us today. And this is, I'm setting the intention, and you watch, it'll be perfect to wrap it all up energetically into what we need to just like anchor all of this in a final message. So out of these 90 cards, so another water card. It's regeneration. The regeneration to me right now, what this is sharing is that like none of this is going to work if you are burnt out and crispy and overwhelmed and like in that spinny energy. None of this is going to work. So, if you are wanting to amplify your intuition, improve your confidence, your self trust, and actually be able to align with your soul purpose at a deeper level or get that next level of your mission, you have to do this piece first. We haven't really talked about this yet. So, it is perfect to wrap it all up. There's this paradoxical consciousness of like, I want you to be an empty vessel through which spirit can flow through, but also your cup shouldn't be empty at the same time. It needs to be overflowing. This is basically about your energy. You're not going to access the higher levels and the intuition and the magic and confidence if you are burnt out and overwhelmed and feeling awful. When you're sick, when you're tired, when you're hungry, like you need to regenerate the physical form and also your energetic and emotional and mental bodies to that point that you feel good, because otherwise there's no access to those higher levels. When you feel like crap, you're stuck in that heavy, dense frequency bandwidth that doesn't allow for intuition, self trust, confidence, any of that to flow the same way. So tune in right now, and I'd love to hear in the comments if you just put your hand on your heart, breathe in, and ask, what do I need right now to regenerate? Listen, and whatever the first thing is that it says, do that thing. Mine is drink water, and I swear it is half the time. It will be like, drink some water, you're dehydrated. So I do that. And then you can ask again and again and again until you can bring and do the thing. Don't not do the thing. If you get an answer from your heart about how to regenerate, listen, or you're going to start even more of the downward spiral, because if your heart speaks to you, tells you what you need, and you say, that's inconvenient, I'm going to do that later, and you don't on it, you're just going to continue that downward spiral into the depths of feeling unsafe with yourself because you're not responding to your needs. So do the thing. What do you need to regenerate? And also, like, this is also a daily thing. This is a daily practice, right? If you're wanting to be an intuitive guide, if you're wanting to be a helper, a healer, or just show up as you instead of, the version of you is really that nobody wants to be around and you don't enjoy very much either, you have to constantly regenerate, right? It is a living process of this. And this ties us all back to the porous field that I was talking about. infinite flow of energy that can move through us. So we're not trying to power everything from our own battery. This openness to the infinite energy and having that energetic flow instead of being cut off from the infinite energies, from all the density and all the heaviness inside of us, the traumas, the dramas, stuff that needs to be cleared or healed. When we can tap into that energy flow, we can be regenerated so much more easily. Like we still have to do the physical things, but that's a part of it. But you also need to eat well. You also need to sleep enough. You also need to take time to relax, to ground, to do like, and I know it's a lot, but the more you regenerate your own energy field, the less energy everything else takes. Ironically, and it's not fair because it just takes so much. But when you're down in this frequency bandwidth where it feels so heavy and your intuition's not flowing and you just feel like ick, everything is hard. But when you are able to really give yourself what you need to start the upward spiral and you start doing the things that help and you start the healing and you do the work and you get the energy and it upward spirals you into that frequency bandwidth where things flow. There's more ease, there's more energy, there's more effortlessness, there's more guidance, there's more divine energy flowing through you, there's more abundance, there's more connection, there's more support, and it is just a completely different experience. So focusing on your regeneration daily. And if you need to dig yourself out of the muck, like that's the place you start. If you're like, I don't know my soul purpose. I don't know. You're in a place where you're cut off energetically from everything. So that's where you start. Otherwise, it's really returning to the stillness, the openness, the practices of listening and then acting, that active and receptive. And I actually put all the cards away, so I can't go back and tell you about all of them, but I'm just going to trust that everybody received what they needed from this. And I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Nice. Walks in nature. Yes. So good to regenerate. It was foggy out here today. And so this morning when I walked my daughter to school, it was like mysterious and foggy. And I was like, ooh, this is like prepping me, priming me for the talk about intuition I knew I was going to give today, this reading, because you don't always know where the path is headed. It's going to be unclear, but you're sometimes just going to get the next right step. That next right step, and there's an act of faith to only get the next right step and not the whole journey, the whole voyage, the whole plan. It's not how it works here on earth. So you might get like farther away what you're supposed to do and then the next right thing, and you have to step without knowing where you're going. And that takes faith. That takes being relaxed enough and parent yourself enough to that you feel safe to take a step even if you don't know where you're going. Being comfortable in the unknown is also going to support you not only about your intuitive journey, your alignment with your soul purpose, but literally with like this next period of time here because we are navigating uncharted waters. But when you keep tuning in to your highest self, your personal guidance, and acting on it, oh my gosh, it will support you more than anything. And I'm just going to wrap it up here by saying if you don't already have the cards, highly recommend this tool. And if you're wanting to be able to open this intuitive channel for yourself and practice, my card reader course is a great place to begin. We talk about how to clear all of the different realms so that you can be that clear channel, and then you can give readings to yourself or others. Um, it is 197 and you get a free card deck as well, which is like plus the shipping is free, which is like a $55 value. And the cool part is you can start doing readings and you can earn money from those readings and you will amplify your intuition. So you'll be open to more abundance flowing in, but also you can also learn how to do workshops with these cards. And it's the easiest workshop I've ever facilitated. I was just blown away every single time I've ever done an in-person workshop with these cards because people are like, wow, it's perfect. It's perfect. I'll teach like a whole day retreat and we'll dance and we'll do cacao and we'll do all these different things. And people's favorite parts is getting messages from the cards. So they can be for you or they can be for a money making opportunity while you're also being initiated as an elemental wisdom keeper who can then share that magic with the world. So if you're someone who's like, I have spiritual gifts and I don't know what to do with them, I don't know what my soul purpose is, this can be a really good jumping off point. So if you have questions about any of it, let me know. I'm so happy that we had this chance to do this today because the cards are always perfect. They're my favorite companions. And I am sending you so much love on your journey towards developing your intuition because I promise it will be the best thing you ever do for yourself because it opens up everything else. Sending you so much love. Have a beautiful rest of your day.